Good day and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Fred Johnson and I'm fired up to walk through Adobe in XED. The future belongs to those that create. I want to welcome you to our XED Experience Education Differently platform, and specifically in today's webinar I'm going to walk through our Adobe Illustrator, Adobe InDesign, and Adobe Photoshop courses. So let's dive in. Before we access the courses, a couple quick notes about XED. This is what the website looks like, and for the Adobe courses they're actually inside of the application. So rather than you learning about Adobe or watching someone else use Adobe products, you will be hands-on inside of the application, learning and gaining immediate feedback on what you're working on within Adobe products. So as you can see here, everything is in application for Photoshop, InDesign, and Illustrator. We'll have the built-in immersive reader, which I'm going to go through. Powerful tool for reading in English as well as translation to other languages. We are LTI compliant, which means you can integrate with Canvas, Gmetrics, Moodle, and D2L. We have tasks for all learning styles, bite-sized exercises for your modern learner, and we have built the course in such a way that the teachers have control of the course flow, the ability to differentiate instruction amongst learners even in the same classroom, and 100% exam coverage to Certiport industry certification exams to prepare your students for success. We also have multiple language options available. So without further ado, I want to dive into the XED platform. This is experienceed.com. This is the website that instructors, learners, as well as administrators will use. If you are an instructor, you'll have additional roles here on the upper right hand side of your screen where it says learner. Learners will simply have the learner role, but instructors will have instructor and learner. More on that when we get to it. Inside the learner dashboard, you'll see a list of any and all courses that you currently have access to. Again, today's focus is Adobe, so we're going to dive in, starting off with Photoshop. Now, for all of the Adobe courses, when you click Go to Course, it is going to prompt you to go directly to Adobe, and this gives some instructions on how to install XED within Adobe. Now, this is assuming that you already have access to your Adobe products, so we are not providing instructions on how to get Adobe Photoshop, InDesign, or Illustrator, but once you have Photoshop, InDesign, or Illustrator, this is how you'll get in to XED. So starting off with Photoshop, I'm going to open the program. And XED will function as an extension. So you'll go to Windows, Extensions, and Experience Ed. If that's not there, please follow the instructions provided. Upon locating the XED add-in, you will log in with your XED credentials, and you will see the course as it appears, like so. From here, you'll click Go to Course. You will see a list of the learning pathway, which includes a benchmark, which is a pretest to gauge your prior knowledge, units, which is where the learning will take place, a summary assessment, which is on the back end to see how well you learned the material, and a capstone project where you can show your skills at the end. So today we're going to focus on the units and the learning. So I want to talk a little bit about what the course is going to look like. So I will take a moment to go through a little bit of Photoshop, a little bit of Illustrator, and a little bit of InDesign, starting out now with Photoshop. So I'm going to dive in. You'll see that the course is broken up into units, and units are broken up into lessons. So I'm going to go quickly to Unit 3. And within Unit 3, you will see that I have lessons inside of here, and each of those lessons is broken up into tasks. So I am going to demonstrate one of those tasks now. So I will click on this one. You will see progress indicators. So in this case, I haven't started this task. It'll say not started, but I can click continue if I've already started, and if I've finished, it will turn green and it will say finished. Quick note on the navigation, I can move this panel around as is convenient for me. If I have multiple screens or a dual screen setup, I can move this to an additional screen to provide more space as I'm working, in this case, in Photoshop. Also see progress indicators throughout the course. This 0% indicates to me that I'm 0% of the way through this particular lesson inside of the unit. I'll click continue on correcting image distortion in this case. And notice that I didn't have to open anything, but when I clicked on this particular task, it did open up something in Photoshop for me. So this loaded, and you'll notice that I have a task, study materials, and show solution. This show solution option can be turned on or off by the instructor. As for some students, this will be a lifeline, and others it might be something that actually hinders their learning. As an instructor, you know that best, so you can turn that on and off for your learners. The study materials will provide a short chunk of text in the form of an ebook that the learners can read here, followed by a task that the learners will go through and complete. Click submit and get immediate feedback. And then again, if the instructor has allowed, the show solution option will be here, which will walk students through a video of how to complete the task. If a learner is in the middle of a task and needs to close their computer, turn off their computer, stop and come back later, this bookmark is a convenient way to immediately go back to this task. I'll see bookmark added successfully. And then as a learner, I can go back to my navigation, click next time I come in, click go to bookmark. It takes me straight back to where I left off. Now in this case, I want to dive back into the study materials. We try to keep each of the tasks short and sweet, so you'll notice that the text is not long. It's not something that learners typically need to scroll down to go all the way through. A very important accessibility point is in the top right corner of each page within XED. You will notice the speaker icon. This is a link to the immersive reader. This is a Microsoft created tool that is built in to the XED platform, and it is an incredible accessibility tool. When you click on it, it will open the immersive reader here inside of the panel. You can't full screen it. Now this, and in this case I'll probably increase the size. This tool is a powerful reading tool, and it is managed by the user. So as an instructor, you would not manage this for your learners, but you would instruct them on how to do it, and then they manage it themselves. Some examples of how you could use it. The learner will see the text in a slightly different format here. They can listen.
Correcting image distortion. You can use the
They can adjust the voice as well as the speed of the text if they want to listen to it faster or slower. There's also a female and a male voice option. I can slide over here to text preferences in the top right and increase or decrease the size, increase or decrease the spacing, adjust the font, as well as adjust the theme or the background color. This one is very helpful for our learners who are dyslexic. Choosing a different background color is often extremely helpful. The grammar options will provide the ability to see different pieces of grammar. And then the top right, you'll see the reading preferences where you can provide a line focus to focus on a few lines at a time. And my personal favorite, the translate option. This is going to provide a myriad of different languages that Microsoft supports. And one thing that's a crowd favorite of the immersive reader is you'll notice not only different languages, but different dialects. So in this case for French, you'll see Canadian French, France French, and Switzerland French. We also have Haitian Creole available. And then also for Spanish, you'll see 3 different versions of Spanish and different versions of Portuguese. So as an example, I'm going to click on Brazilian Portuguese. I'll click Document. And now this text has been translated into Portuguese. I can listen or read.
Corrigindo a distorção da imagem. Você pode usar.
And then maybe Brazilian Portuguese is my native language, but I am learning English. I can switch back and forth to start connecting the words. So this is a powerful tool. If you're an instructor, I highly recommend not just showing your learners that this is there once, but repeating the demonstration of the immersive reader on a daily basis to normalize the use of the immersive reader. That's what I did in my classroom with great success. Upon going through the study materials, the learner will switch to the task. And in this case, you'll notice a few different steps here. So I'll walk through these. This one says go to the layers. Oops, excuse me. Went back to the immersive reader there. This says go to the layers panel and select the important sign layer. So I'm going to go to my layers panel. Let me decrease the size of this panel here. Click the important sign. It's going to tell me to go to the filter menu and convert for smart filters. Click on the OK button, and then apply a non-destructive filter. A reminder here that I need to read these instructions before completing the step, because when I open this next step, the instructions are going to go away. So it says go to the filter menu, select lens correction, and then select remove distortion tool. So I'm going to go to the filter menu. I'm going to go to lens correction, and I am going to select remove distortion tool and drag down over the image. The final step says go to File menu and select Save to save the file. And then I'll click Submit to get immediate feedback. And as I can see here, in this case, I did the activity correctly, and I'm getting 100%. I'm getting my score. If I got it partially correct, I would see X's for the pieces that I got incorrect. And if my instructor has allowed me to retry, the instructor can set how many retries are available. I can then go in and retry. As a learner now, I can see when I completed the task, how many times, my percentage, and I can click See Details to see further details. I could go back and do it again if I didn't do it correctly, or if I just want to go back and practice even after completing it. And then to move on to the next activity, I can either click Next, and a new activity will load as well as a new file popping up, or I can click on Navigation and navigate from one activity to the next through here. So this is what the course setup looks like for Adobe Photoshop. Next, let's dive into InDesign. Moving over to InDesign, I'm going to click on Window. I'm going to click Extensions, and I'm going to click Experience Ed or XED. And once again, I'm going to log into the XED platform. I've got a panel here that will give me access to XED, and I'll see my InDesign course pop up. Again, I can adjust the size of this and move this panel to another screen if I'm using multiple screens. At this point, I'll click Go to Course. And very similar as you saw to the Photoshop course, similar setup. You've got units, benchmark, summary assessment, and capstone project. So you'll see 6 units here. I'm going to go to Unit 4. You'll see each unit has lessons built into those units. Again, I've got progress indicators for each of those lessons. And in this case, I'm going to go to Editorial Styles, and I'm going to go to the Styles in Object lesson. So I'm going to click Continue. As an instructor, you can determine if your learners will begin with the task and then they can choose to go back to the ebook to read, or if you want them to start with the reading and then move over to the task. So it depends on your instructional style. If you prefer your students to study first and then take action, or take action and then go back and study. So I'm going to click on the study materials. You'll see the text here. Again, the text can be read, or you can use the immersive reader. Upon completing the ebook, switch over to the task, and I'm going to get 1 to multiple steps on this particular activity. And as I complete the activity, I'll click Submit. As you can see, I did not complete the activity in this case. So I'm getting this marked incorrect. I see a score of 0%. I can see each individual activity, so I'm not wondering what part of the activity I got correct, what part I got incorrect. That is indicated for me here. And then I'm indicated as well that I've done this activity 1 time. If my instructor has allowed for additional attempts, I can come back and try this again. So I can click on this little X to get that out of the way, and I can just come back and take another shot until I get it right. And if I'm completely lost and I do not know what to do, where to go, how to complete it, I'll click Show Solution, and I can watch the video here. I can full screen the video, and I can download the video as needed. Again, I can navigate through the course by clicking next or going back to the navigation. And finally, sliding into Adobe Illustrator. Once again, I'm going to go to Window. I'm going to locate my extensions. I'm going to look for Experience Ed or XED. Adjust the size of my panel as is convenient for me. And in this case, I'm going to do an example from Unit 2. I'm going to go to the Draw Graphics lesson, and I'm going to slide into the Work with Lines activity. In some case, I'll have some resource files. So in this case, it's telling me to go to File, Open, and to look for the sticker character 01.ai file, and to click Open. So when it asks me to do that, I'm going to go to File, Open, and I want to locate Experience Ed, Adobe. I want to locate Illustrator, and I want to locate resource files. When you add the add-in, or when the add-in was added to Adobe for you, these folders were created. So if you don't see this here, contact your instructor. Likely somebody in IT at your institution will have to add that manually for you in the event that it was blocked. But you'll see this file here, and I'll click on it, and I'm opening the file. And I'm going to go through these steps, so it's going to give me some instructions on what tools I'm going to click, where I'm going to complete. Note that the toolbar here may not be an exact representation of yours, because of course you can modify your toolbar to your own needs. So keep in mind that the illustrations are here as a guide, but they will not always be 100% exact representation of what you see, depending on what modifications you've made to Adobe. So again, I'll walk through these steps. I'll see instructions, I'll see images, I'll see some notes, but if I need further assistance, I sometimes will have a show solution option, but that will not always be there, again, depending on the instructor, and some tasks have show solution, some don't. I'll complete the activity, I will save the document, and I'll click Submit, and once again, I will get immediate feedback on how I did. All I did on this one was open the file, so I did get that part correct. And again, to navigate through the course, I can click Next, or I can go to my navigation and click on the next item. When I click on the next item, it will automatically load inside of Adobe for me. So as you can see, there's lots of accessibility, lots of resources, lots of tools. You're not learning about Adobe products, you are learning by doing. So this is the student side of the course, and again, the first time you'll go through experienceed.com, but then you can come straight to Adobe and just open your XED panel by going to Window and looking for it in the extensions. Now let's slide over to the instructor side and go through some of the tools you can use there. As I flip over from learner to instructor, I will see this panel, and from here I can see any groups that I've previously created. So if I already have groups and I've made them, I'm actively working with them, I can click Edit, and I can adjust start dates, end dates, names of the course, learner limits, as well as adjust the parameters. But I'm going to swing back and just show creating a new group real quick. So if I'm new to XED, or I'm simply creating a new group within XED, at the top, toward the right-hand side of the screen, I'll see the new group option. So I'm going to click on that, and I'll give my group a name. The description is not necessary. It's helpful, but it's not required. And then you'll choose a start date and an end date. Note that these start dates and end dates can be changed if something comes up, but they just have to be within the limits of your license. The learner limit, you can also increase or decrease as needed. I do recommend, for example, if you have 30 students sitting in your room, you put 35 just in case you get a new student, you already have space for them. You're not using up licenses by adding numbers here. Licenses are only used up when a student accesses the curriculum. So from here, when you're adding your Adobe courses, you'll choose between Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. And notice that when you choose them, you can disregard the levels for now, but you'll simply choose Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. Note that blue outline when you click on it that shows up there. That indicates that the course has been selected. Any courses that you select here are available for students. So if you have a class, for example, and you're going to do InDesign first, and you don't want your students to be able to access Photoshop and Illustrator, you would deselect. Always come back and add this later. You can also differentiate by giving certain students access to certain courses or certain items at different times, depending on their needs. Once I create my group, I'll click Save, and then I'm here to my editing group page. I do have a group key here. This is one of the options for getting my learners connected to the group. I can adjust the weights of my different activities. So the defaults are fine, but if you are interested in changing these, you can adjust it so practice exercises way more, practice questions way less. Note that you can't increase one until you decrease another, so you don't go above that 100%. In the lessons area, you can adjust how many attempts your learners get, as well as if they can see the solution. This is a huge win for some learners. Others, it can be a crutch or it can actually be not beneficial. And you can determine if they can retry after checking their answers. You can also determine if they're going to start with the task and then move over to the study materials, or start with the study materials and then move over to the task. You can also require successful completion. You have to use your judgment here. So requiring successful completion requires that your learner is successful on the previous task before they move to the next one, which can be a great thing to do. However, if you've only given them one attempt and they get it incorrect, now they're stuck and they can't move on. So use your teacher wisdom and judgment here. And then when you have your courses available, you can click on this pencil to the right side, and you'll see this option here for course content. Here, you can actually customize your content. So for example, the course is going to default to allowing all students to see the entire course as soon as they log in. Sometimes that's a win if they're working at their own pace. However, if you want to limit them and say, hey, we're only doing unit 1 this week, will you do unit 1 next week or unit 2 next week? Whatever you have clicked here, that's what they're going to see. So ensure that whatever you have clicked is what you want them to have access to. And then if you unclick something, that will go away. So as it stands right now, the learners in this group would only see unit 2. I can actually expand this deeper and go into specific activities. That would be a lot of work for you to go in and constantly change these, but you do have the ability to do so, or you can click enable all content and everyone will see all the content at once. So this is where you can make those adjustments and edits to your courses. You can further go along and adjust the practice exercises and practice questions. Similar parameters here to the lessons, but here you can actually come in even further and determine on those practice exercises and practice questions, if a learner comes in and gets a perfect score on the second try or the third try, you can make it so they don't get that 100% because it took them more than one try to get there. So you can make those adjustments, and one of the best tools here really is the ability to differentiate instruction. So if you have a group of 5 or 10 learners in your class that need a little more attention, need a few more attempts, you can put them in a separate group, but give them different parameters, even if they're in the same classroom. And one of the ways I might do that is having a second cohort and making another group that also has second cohort, but adjusting the weights and then putting some sort of indicator, like maybe an emoji or something like that, next to the name of your group to indicate to you the difference. And when you're ready to get your learners in, you got a couple of options to get them in the course. You can take that group key and send them to experienceed.com and have them register. And they would simply put in the group key to get connected to the course and add their information. My preferred way to do it is to import users. So you can come here and download a spreadsheet. And from this spreadsheet, you can add all of your students' information and import them directly into the course. You'll also notice under instructor resources, you will see for each of these courses, you're going to get a zip file, and this zip file is going to provide you with a course overview that goes through each of the tasks, the timings, and how they align to the objective domains. You will also see an option for reports, and for each group that you have, you can click on that group, click on the course, and you will get 4 reports available. From left to right, they go from less detailed to more detailed. And you can come in and download each of these reports, and you can see a unit progress report. So for example, if you just did unit 1 and you want to check on how your students did on certain tasks, you can do so, or the full progress report will give you everything that you need in one spreadsheet. Note that we are LTI compliant. You can integrate this with Canvas, Moodle, and Gmetrics as well. So we are fired up to deliver this course to you. We encourage you to reach out if you have any further questions or need any assistance or want to set up a training session. Have an excellent rest of your day.